Hello, and welcome to the Evening Lifeline Church Peterstown podcast. This is where we cut through the noise on faith, culture, and what it really is at stake for America. I am your host, Mark Williams. Today, we're tackling a heavy but necessary topic: the state of the church in America and the competing radical ideologies pressing against it, especially radical Islam's long-term vision for a future and outright takeover. I'm not here for fear-mongering or to paint broad brushes, but most American Muslims live peacefully and reject violence. But ideas have consequences, and doctrines matter. We'll look at the data on the church's surprising resilience and the demographic ideologies, realities of Islam in the West, and what faithful Christians must do. Let's start with the good news that might surprise you. The state of the church in America. Not dead, but awakening. Recent Barna Group research from 2025 paints a picture of generational reversal. For the first time in decades, younger adults are driving church attendance upward. Gen Z churchgoers now average 1.9 weekends per month, higher than millennials at 1.8, and notably ahead of Gen X, boomers, and elders, who have seen declines. That's nearly double Gen Z's pandemic lows. Pastors report higher engagement among Gen Z and millennials in 40 to 45% of churches. Even broader commitment rising 66% of U.S. adults say they've made a personal commitment to Jesus that remains important. That's a 12-point jump since a 2021 low. Spiritual curiosity, Bible reading, and openness to faith conversions are trickling up among the young. Some are calling it early signs of renewal amid cultural exhaustion and secularism. With that said, a realism check. Overall Christianity in America has leveled off rather than fully revived. Decades of decline in affiliation influence haven't reversed nationwide. Many churches still struggle with discipleship, cultural accommodation, woke compromises, and some mainline and even evangelicals, and not retaining young families. Nominal faith is fading, but a committed core, especially the younger men and women, hungry for the truth, is digging in deeper. The church isn't collapsing, but it's fragmented. Some megachurches prioritize growth over holiness. Others have retreated into cultural irrelevance. Yet, in the midst of moral confusion, economic pressure, and family breakdown, Jesus is drawing people back, and that's hopeful. The competing ideology, radical Islam's vision for America. Now, the harder part, while the church wrestles with internally a different worldview, is expanding Islam, particularly its radical supremacist strains rooted in classical doctrine. The U.S. Muslim population estimates put it around 3.5 to 4.5 million today, roughly 1 to 1.3% of the population, up from earlier decades through immigration and higher birth rates. Pew projections, and older but consistent, see it reaching 2.1% by 2050. Islam remains the fastest growing major religion globally due to demographics. Most American Muslims are moderate on daily life and express patriotism in polls, and we should pray for them and love the Muslims. But we should not like Islam. It's a teaching from a false god, about a false god. Many Muslims reject terrorism, yet surveys over the years, including older Center for Security Policy data and recent discussions, show concerning minorities open to Sharia elements over full constitutional supremacy. Post October 7th, 2023, we saw visible surges in pro-jihadist rhetoric, campus encampments, and calls that echo Islamic goals that have eventual dominance rather than coexistence. Historian Raymond Ibram lays out the 1400-year-old pattern of Islamic expansion through military jihad, migration, and cultural demographic pressure, often justified by Quranic text and Muhammad's example as a warrior prophet. He contrasts this with Jesus' kingdom, not of this world, one advanced by persuasion, sacrifice, and love, not conquest. Pastor Mark Driscoll has been blunt in episodes like The Demonic Islamic Takeover of America, framing unchecked migration, parallel societies, and failure to assimilate as spiritual warfare against a Christian-rooted West. Cities seeing amplified calls to prayer, electoral shifts, and sometimes some districts and demands for Sharia law. Accommodations raise legitimate questions. Can civilization, shaped by love, your enemies, and rendered unto Caesar, indefinitely absorb large numbers of committed to a system where religion and state are one, with non-Muslims as second class under full Sharia? Radical Islam, it isn't just terrorism, it's an ideology. That's a societal order supremacist, expansionist in its foundational sources. Liberal democracy, secular progressivism, and biblical Christianity all compete here. Progressivism also often downplays the threat or accuses critics of Islamophobia, which I'm sure I'll get after this episode. But weakening culture defenses, compromised church that prioritize niceness over truth, and adds to the vulnerability. American Muslims are more educated, more integrated than global averages in some ways, and many condemn extremism. But doctrine continuity, jihad, as struggle, including armed abrogation favoring the militant versus historical conquest of Christian lands, means radical subsets have theological fuel. Demographic momentum, open borders, and elite denial create risk. Why this matters for the church: spiritual, cultural, and missionarial response. This isn't primarily about politics, even though Islam is a political movement disguised as a religion, but it's spiritual. Ephesians 6:12 reminds us we not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers. Radical Islam, like aggressive secularism, is a revival gospel, claiming ultimate authority. The church's state directly impacts our response. A weak, divided, or culturally captive church invites stronger ideologies to fill the vacuum. A bold, discipled, spirit-filled church can edge with clarity, compassion, and courage. Practical calls: repent and renew. Prioritize holiness, biblical literacy, and family discipleship. Gen Z's return is a gift. Steward it with depth and not entertainment. Truth and love distinguish peaceful Muslims, image bearers to friend and evangelize, from the ideology. Many ex-Muslims testify to dreams of Jesus and bold conversions. Bold, loving witness has power. Cultural vigilance: support policies preserving Western liberty rooted in Judeo-Christian foundations. Secure the borders: assimilation, rejection of parallel legal systems. Prayer and mission: pray for Muslim peoples. History shows the gospel advance even in hard places. Jesus builds his church. The gates of Hades won't prevail. Unity in essentials: stop infighting over secondary issues while civilization challenges mount. Jesus didn't call us to conquer with the sword, but neither did he call us to surrender truth or culture. Occupy till I come, in Luke 19, means faithful presence. The American church shows signs of resilience amid decline. Radical Islamist ideology presents a serious competing vision. One history shows that doesn't coexist easily with pluralistic liberty. The answer isn't hatred or retreat. It's revival at home. The clarity in public square and confident proclamation of Christian crucified and risen. The only true hope for every soul, Muslim or otherwise. Thank you for listening, and please like and share and comment. Please join us on Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. in person at Lifeline Church Peterstown, or live stream on YouTube or Carla Bragg's Facebook page. We have Lifeline Kids every Sunday morning. You can also join us on Wednesday evenings at 6 for men's and women's small groups. Kids and youth also on Wednesdays. On Friday evenings we have Celebrate Recovery. And thanks for listening, and God bless.